Your reaction then to this PMI data, what does it tell you?
Yeah, I mean, it is clearly another positive surprise in the China data that we saw this morning. In fact, typically, we forecasted the moderation, and partly because there has been a seasonal softness in the July data, with the PMI actually has weakened in 4 of the past 5 years due to, say, the raining in the south and also the hot weathers, which typically dampen demand into the summer. So this time, and we see that it's really actually the hosting such a significant further recovery and suggesting, I think, some of the government push to further boost economic recovery and in particular infrastructure investment, and I think it's likely supporting some of the demand and also exports, which is an area that we have actually been more constructive compared with the peers since 2 months ago, likely also will hold up in its resilience in the second half of the year.
So you expect this resilience to be sustained. You're seeing a pickup in terms of domestic demand here on the back of some infrastructure spending. The external demand picture, as you say, is improving. Does it matter significantly to China that the US looks like it's taking a step back in terms of the reopening progress there and what that means for exports to the United States? How much is that going to weigh on the data going forward for China?
Yeah, thanks. Actually, we have upgraded Chinese GDP for this year about 2 months ago to 2.3%. So that partly reflects our belief that, the domestic demand and external demand will help to sustain a recovery of Chinese growth to 5 to 6% in the second half of the year. On exports in particular, I think you're right. There are 2 forces. The reopening of the developed markets, particularly U.S. and Europe, have already shown in the June data with the broadened Chinese export recovery to non-COVID-related exports. And that had shown, say, a 20% percentage point rise, although still in contractionary territory. On the other hand, the COVID has actually boosted, I think, the Chinese COVID-related demand, and as we saw in the first half of the year, and leading to a rise in the China's, the global market share of Chinese exports despite a global recession. So these are the 2 forces playing at the same time. So clearly, I do think that U.S., with a resurgence in the new cases and would somewhat dampen the demand from the reopening. But at the same time, it would also, I think, lead to some sustained demand in COVID-related demand. But so overall, we are positive on the COVID demand we are positive on the export demand from the developed markets. We are a bit more concerned about the export demand in the emerging market, which actually have still, I think, battling with the first wave.